Peter McGuire, welcome back. It's another week here in COVID lockdown Sydney, Australia. We are looking around the world, just watching everybody else come back into it too. Vaccinations, hospitalisations, work from home, homeschooling, rise in mental health issues. The world's kind of an interesting place right now, but there is some good in it. There's plenty of hope, and there is opportunity to actually sort of outperform even through these particular signals. Pete, welcome, and looking forward to for your commentary this morning.
Good morning, Will, and it's lovely to be here from sunny Coogee, Tuesday morning.
We're talking here about the rising number of cases and hospitalisations, and this chart seems to suggest that we've got, in the US specifically, we've got a new number, a changing weekly average, and I guess a consumption of hospital beds declining. So something good going on here.
Well, absolutely right. That deals with the Delta variant. They're saying it's around about, I think its strength is significantly less than the main COVID. I'm not a virologist, but I did read that it's considerably, 90% less in the sense of its strength. So whilst people are getting Delta, you can see that as far as the USA hospital beds occupied by COVID patients is very, very flat. And hopefully that's about the lowest it's been really in more than a year and a bit. So that's a good sign, Will, a very good sign. That's
a good sign, Pete. So the things are looking up, vaccination rates are increasing, more of the world is underway, and certainly in Australia the politics are get it or don't. Now listen, the US labour market's looking like it's missing 6.7 million jobs. So talk me through that. Is this a puzzle the Fed needs to figure out?
Well, we understand, Will, that also you've got to take on board that yes, it's a headline number of 6.7 million jobs, and there's probably 3 or 4 million jobs out there that'll be I'm not saying manufactured, not in the manufacturing industry, but manufactured over the next 12 or 18 months. But the realization is that many people were paid to stay at home, and now it's a time and a normalisation process through that economic cycle, that unlocking of society, getting engaged again in hospitality industries and so on right across America. You will see, I would say, that number start to fall considerably with 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 jobs per month as far as those non-farm payroll numbers that are released each first Friday of the month. So it'll be Friday week when we've got our new number for the June. Remember that what happens, it's always up until the middle of the month prior. So we'll get that around, the 8th or 7th of whatever, I think it'll be about the 7th of August. You will have that read for non-farm payrolls up until approximately the 15th of July. So it'll run 15 June to 15 July. And that's that 1 month period. They see how many new jobs were created, Will. So hopefully summer in the US, as we know, I speak to people over there most days, and it's a very vibrant society at the moment. Things are certainly on the up and up.
So vibrant society in the US, we're looking at decreasing numbers in hospital, increasing vaccinations. It's a country getting back to some form of activity, some form of positive reframe. Is that the sense you're seeing, Pete?
Well, absolutely. Well, if you're looking at the equity markets, boy, oh boy, I mean, let's focus on those for a fraction. Have a look where the Dow is. I've just got the screens up here. You've got the Dow through that magic number of 35,000 points. You've got the S&P 500 approaching 4,500 points. And you've got the NASDAQ approaching 15,000 points. They're huge numbers that, going back a year ago, you would have laughed if you said, here we are at these numbers today. So it's been an incredible turnaround. And who could have imagined a Dow Jones? I can remember when it was, 2,500 points. And what, Will? When they crashed in the GFC, many traders shorted the market. The S&P 500, I think it went to around about 665, 670. Have a look what it is today, approaching that 4,500 number. That's just incredible what we've seen as far as economic growth and equity markets growth in that 13-year window, 12-year window.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average up on the screen at the moment, the DJI, and look, up 82.76, which is 2.24% increase already today.
There you are. So it's just extraordinary, and we're remembering the companies that make that that sit in the Dow, those 30 behemoths, they really are economic powerhouses. And, you know, like it or not, with cheap money, they've all been a time to build your asset base and build your supply lines and build your infrastructure and take on, you know, good capital expenditure to build your business. And that's what any business is after in these times: competitive advantage, stay ahead of the game. And those top 30 companies fall into that criteria very nicely that make up the Dow, Will.
Certainly do, Pete. Look, I was going to talk briefly about the euro and the dollar. The dollar looks like it's sort of on a little uptick there against the euro. I'm not sure we want to cover that too much, but perhaps extending the idea into some of those big stocks that are moving markets through this reporting season. Well, we have a chart here on Apple, and it's Apple earnings chart up on screen now. Revenue versus forecast. It's doing pretty well in a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone seems to have an Apple iPhone, an Apple technology. I've got an Apple Watch, and I'm not here to sing their praises.
Oh, don't. And what about your earpods, Pete? Have you got the earpods?
I've got the earpods, Will. I've got an Apple phone as well. I use that because I can log how many steps I do a day. On Sunday, I think or might have been Saturday, I did about 20,000. We had one of our guys, you know, that I teach karate. We inherited a fellow that was 109 kilos and 168 centimetres tall. He had a BMI of around 38. One of our students is the ex-Wallaby sports doctor, who you know, Dr. Mike Jamison. And he was 44 years of age, this fellow. And he said, you've got to make some lifestyle changes. In case you don't, it's going to be a bleak, in 5 to 10 years' time, a bleak existence moving forward. He's now down to 74 kilos, this fellow. We put him on a walker, a movement program. It was a 50-day challenge. 1 meal a day he was on also. He had to walk 1 million steps in that 50 days. He did it. He walked his million.
Pete, that's a decent walk out, and it's a story there of some persistence, resilience, and
absolutely
look, a key driver for some personal development and a real eye on an outcome. I mean that perhaps talks to, you know, some of the philosophies, some of the requirements of a trader, somebody who's resilient, can trade through the curves, can take the data, process the data, act on the data. Won't be wedded to a trade, to borrow one of your lines, and sits back every day and says, hey, you know what, the market's moving. I won't win them all, but I'm going to have a damn good shot.
Well, that's exactly right. Well, what it also does, I think COVID's been a bit of a wake-up call, the comorbidities as far as health issues and what your underlying issues are, and how susceptible are you to sickness. We understand the obesity challenge. 68% of Australians, they rate it as obese. You're talking about diabetes too. You're talking about all the health issues associated with heart issues and lung and all of those things. So traders, this has been a perfect time to get fit, pick up your sleep, get motivated, get outside, get some sunshine. As I mentioned this morning, here we are, middle of winter in Sydney, and people are swimming in the ocean, 18 degrees, absolutely gorgeous, getting all of that vitamin D and good lifestyle choices. That's what a trader needs to do. You need to burn off that negative. If you've had trades go against you, you've got to burn it off. You have to burn it off. And that comes down to endorphins. That comes down to doing some exercise, walking up hills and getting movement into your body. And it's designed to move, and it's all...
Peter McGuire, I'm going to pause there for a minute and link this back to Apple and technology that's driving change, technology that's forcing a wake-up call, a transformation, a data-driven and a fact-based approach to what you did, not what you're proposing to do. These tools, whether it be Apple, whether it be Dell, Lenovo, or any of the other, Samsung, LG, any of the other devices that are able to support an evolution in your health, we recommend them. We thoroughly suggest that you should use them. Don't be wedded to them. Don't become obsessed by them, but simply have a look at them and say, hey, how can this help me in my day-to-day? Can this help me achieve a goal? And the reality is it can give you data The data then can help you achieve the goal. Measurement is
Yep.
key. Now, Pete, very quickly, I want to talk about Apple and its peers. Apple's valuation versus its peers. It's trialling a 12-month price to earnings ratio. On screen now, we've got Apple and Alphabet. If you don't know who Alphabet, it's Google, basically, people. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and the Nasdaq Composite. Now, if we look at that, if we look at those that lineup of fabulous technology businesses, and I say businesses because I'm not talking here about the philosophies of the organisations, or any of the other genres. It's the business of the business here. And on screen we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Significant organisations that have performed through the curve. Thoughts on these guys, Pete?
Well, if you run the 5 of them, Will, they're all pretty much neck and neck, and Amazon is just so far ahead. What does it tell you? Is everyone sitting at home over that 12-month period and just buying on Amazon? Is that the answer?
Do you know what I think it tells you, Pete? I think it tells you about the business model of Amazon. The business model of Amazon, similar to one here that we have at Boardroom Ventures, Boardroom Media, and Which 50. We place ourselves in the centre of other people's stories, and Amazon did that exceptionally well. They've rolled out a suite of tools with a series of, with a life cycle that can take you through on a journey. It's wrapped a narrative around utility and application, and also on retail and commerce. Not to mention logistics, supply chain, what you see there is a business that's been built for the time.
Yeah, very true, and that's been demonstrated, as you can see there, in its PE and, of course, what its overall performance is going to be in years to come.
It really against some formidable peers. It's a newcomer. I mean, Apple, Microsoft. Mate, we were talking businesses that the late 70s and the early 80s they emerged to take on the world. Amazon came along a lot later. Absolutely,
and have a look at what the Nasdaq Composite on the furthest to the right there. That's a bit of a reality check because that's where they are all housed in that index, and Amazon's really shot the lights out.
All right, quick daily performance chart here. US stocks ride high. Can anything spoil the fun, Pete?
Keeping an eye on that US dollar index, Will, overall, it just seems to be continuing in that 92 odd handle. Oil markets have come back a little bit. We're seeing what's happened as far as equities, all shown a green light overnight, closed in around about 7 o'clock this morning, New York time, or in Sydney time for the New York market. So, pardon me, we had a bit of a washout yesterday in Asia. Some of those markets were down 3%. So I'm just seeing what happens today, if there's a continuation across that Asia sector. But overall, the equity markets are strong, US dollars ticking up. We made reference to that as far as non-farm payrolls out in a week and a half, and all of those moving parts together.
Well, Pete, that's probably the wrap. If the further we look at whether the markets move, whether we see more crackdown in China, whether we see tech, whether we see health emerge, whether we see the forex markets go kind of crazy. Let's watch this as the week unfolds, mate, and we'll reconnect next week for a follow-up.
Absolutely, Will. I look forward to it, and good health to everyone, and just keep on being focused, and get out and enjoy your day. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Peter McGuire, thanks for speaking with us.
Cheers, Will.